What's going on, guys? Mr. Hammer down here, Anderson's Beagles. I figured I would come on tonight, speak with you all for a brief moment. Look, let's talk dogs, briefly. Hope your holidays are serving you rather well thus far. I topic this destination unknown for one simple reason. And listen, I won't be before you long. It's for the simple reason that when we talk about dogs, we have to talk about the longevity of kennels. A lot of guys that have been in dogs for 30, 40 years have grayed, and in their graying years, they fell out, came off the scene, and there's no succession of today's time. There's nobody that's taking this thing over, that's running with this person. You know, this person's breeding. This man first ran Northway, and now this other person is running it because he's died off, or this person ran Dingus McCrae, and now this other gentleman is taking it over because this person is no longer with us. That's not the case. So I labeled this, like I said, destination unknown, what's now, what's next. A lot of us are not having our own mind. We see someone else implementing a certain cross, implementing a certain breeding of whatever this is that they're liking, this flavor of the month, this over here, this over there, and we follow that pattern. Hear me closely. We follow that pattern. Either we're going to be leaders or we're going to be followers. If a person tells you about 25 different crosses or possibilities that may be X, Y, and Z, they may be right. They may be right. Do your homework, because they may be right, but they also may be wrong. Who are you? What can you imply? What can you implement? What can you execute in your own kennel? You know, I found out that research is the most underlying resolution and resolve to every person's kennel today. That is the key factor. That's the number one variable in all of it. Research, information, knowledge being obtained, and then being filtered and passed on, transmitted, transferred. You know, I think back on when I got in so many years ago and how I started, and I look at how a lot of those guys, they always had a mentor. Those guys always was under somebody. They always looked towards someone else, you know, and watched how they did things. And then they executed according to how they saw other people executing. But at the same time, they looked over here and they said, man, you know what? They did it like this, but I think I can do it better. I think I can advance or enhance their success. That's true succession. Predecessors, successors, succession. There's a broad void. There's a broad void. And somewhere in that void, we exist. You and I. I'm not talking about the people that don't have a passion for dogs to the extent where you want to keep a line of dogs going for 30 years, for 40 years, that when you pass out, when you leave here, when you transition, you want to leave them with your daughter. You want to leave them with your son. You want to leave them with your niece, your nephew, your grandchildren, somebody to take over and continue to advance and advance and advance. It may not be that serious to you. If it's not, this is not for you. But if you are that serious, this video is for you. And I want to tell you this. You can make it. You can do it. You can do it. Don't you dare give up. You hear me? Don't you dare give up. I don't care what it looks like out here, that the blood is too thin. I can't reclaim it. I can't recover it. I can't identify where it's at. I don't know. Don't you give up. We have, and I'm not being braggadocious, we have right now at this time some of the oldest families of dogs, to me, in the country, right here in our kennel. But that's because we work like crazy. That's because we pressed, we did the research, we did the homework, we watched them in the field, we drove the 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever hours to get there, analyze the dogs, and then make another assessment on top of an assessment on top of an assessment. And then we made the call. Conclusively, what you have in your kennel right now is only because of you. It's not because of your partner down the street. It's not because of Bubba. It's not because of Jenny. It's because of you. If you have 17 dogs in your kennel right now and 6 different bloodlines, that's because of you. You're not going to make it far in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Let me tell you something. Anytime you find a person, and they can be your friend, they can be your foe, whatever, but especially if they're your friend, they're going to have influence on you. If that person has 20, 30 dogs, and you're passionate, and they're not, or they say that they are, and you hang with them all the time, birds of a feather flock together. Before you know it, if they have 7 different breedings in their kennel, and you have 1 or 2, and you're trying to maximize within those 2, within the covenants and the symmetry of those few lines that you have, listen, the more you hang out with that person, the more that you hear their logic of how they breed dogs and how they assemble, listen, it's slowly going to begin to overturn. And your mind is going to come unglued. You're going to be so influenced and persuaded that that way that they're doing it is right and that it's right for you. You're going to lose the sensitivity and the awareness and the thickness of that old school feeling that you have within your kennel. You're going to lose it. Why? Because they've already lost it. Anytime you identify a person with 17, 18, 19, 20 dogs, and they've got 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different bloodlines, ask them one question. What's your goal? What are you after? What are you trying to do? I guarantee you, if I was a gambling man, the first thing they would say to you would be, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm after. I have no idea what I'm trying to do. They wouldn't be lying to you. They would be executing the truth. That's the truth. What's your goal in mind, John Doe? I don't know. I just want good rabbit dogs. I heard one guy tell me about 7 or 8 years ago. He said, Anderson, I just want some of the oldest lines of dogs in my kennel, period. Another guy told me, said, I just want a whole kennel full of field champions. Well, I can tell you this. Let me submit and suggest that none of that means anything. A whole kennel full of field champions doesn't mean you have squat. All of the dogs together may not be one champion. All the old breedings together may not make up one dog, one rabbit dog. Breeding is preferential, and it's all on what you deem to be essential. If you deem 10 different breedings over 20 dogs, what you want to do, hey, that's on you. Do it if that's what makes you feel good. But if you have that passion deep down inside of you, I mentioned to a buddy of mine earlier, I said, it's like a chef. A chef that is passionate about his cooking doesn't just look at cooking as cooking. They look at cooking as an art. It's artistry for them. It's therapy for them. Presentation matches consumption. What you taste, they want to make sure the presentation fulfills you before the physical is ingested. I would say to anybody, anyone that has any kind of awareness of what it is they're in pursuit of, okay? To dig deep, and keep digging. Don't give up. Never give up. If you're breeding chickens, if you're breeding Japanese fighting fish, if you're breeding ducks, if you're breeding cows, don't give up. If you got a goal in mind and you want to achieve it or obtain it, don't you stop. Don't you slumber. Don't you get slothful. Be tired, but keep on pressing. I'd subjected this topic tonight as destination unknown, what's now and what's next for a reason. And it's actually a twofold lesson. And that is, one, destination unknown, have a place in mind that I'm starting here, but I'm heading there. Two, what's now and what's next? What is my present visual? What is my projected visual? Supply and demand over the course of years has really sidetracked a lot of us in the world in so many different genres of life, whether it's business, it's home, it's this, it's that, whatever it is, has really sidetracked us. And I think because we're so on the demand and on the fence of pushing out a product that we really don't take the time to analyze and assess. Assessment is key. When you get a breeding in your mind, assess it 100 times. You should know what you're going to breed to that female that comes off of that mother. You should know for the next 4 or 5 generations. And generations and generations. You should know. The males you're just going to hunt and you're going to draw semen. But the females, you should have an idea. At least an idea. I respect so many of the greats that are out there, and we're going to do a collaboration with Mr. Don Hogue, Mr. Rufus Stewart, and Mr. Mel Faust in the weeks or months to come. And stay on the lookout for that, because it's going to be called Female Essentiality. It's so paramount that we don't deviate away from the femininity of our kennels. That is that factor that determines so much of the base of longevity for us. If we're going to be in it for a number of years, we must have those essentials in place. Continue to do whatever it is that you're doing. Continue to drive and pursue the passion, but don't forget the finesse of the art. The art in or inside the work. It should be like painting the 16th chapel. You know, it should be like nobody's broadest imagination, their wildest imagination. It should, you're recording history. I look at some of the greats like Mr. Kenny Racine. I look at, like I said, Don Hogue, Mel Faust. Hey, we may not like it, but I look at Brinko, not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying some people, whatever. At the end of the day, sometime or another, this man was a genius. He did a lot of good stuff for beagling. A lot of good dogs came out of his kennel. What were these people thinking about in the times that they made these breedings? What were they thinking about? I'll tell you what they were thinking about. Everything I just said. If I had to share anything with you guys, it would be to have your own mind. I can't stress that enough, because at the end of the day, it does not matter what everybody else thinks. It depends on what you like, what you're willing to feed, and so forth. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. You are the starter and the finisher of your fate. Period. What you want is what you'll have. And what you have is what you wanted. This platform of Anderson's Beagles YouTube channel isn't for likes and shares of subscribers, but you can like and share it if you want. You can subscribe if you want. But this is a platform of myself bidding information. And the people that I bring on to interject with this crowd are people that desire to have that information, to receive it. Because at the end of the day, Scripture tells us that his people perishes for a lack of knowledge. The world is in the place that it's in right now for a lack of knowledge. You paid too much for that car, now you're upside down for a lack of knowledge. You got a higher interest rate on the home and the this and the this and the that. Why? Because of a lack of knowledge. Embrace it. Doesn't matter who it comes from, what the ethnicity is, what the culture, what the creed, what the belief. If the information serves you well and is proper information, is valid information, is concrete information, follow it. Doesn't matter if it's for me or whoever else. But what I'm saying to you is, if we want this thing to continue on, I talked to a great guy yesterday. He said, Tyson, if we want this thing to go on and keep on passing down the tradition, hey, listen, we got to come together. Get out here and vote when it comes to these, sportsmen's meetings. Attend them. Don't forsake these assemblies. Be there. Have a voice. Because you have one. But you may not have used it, but you have one. There's so much more that we can be doing. I think about this every day. There's so much more that we can be doing. And I feel that oftentimes we're on the downside. We're on the decline of this journey. And I hate to say that because it seems like it's very true. But I think if we solidify the truths, whatever your truths are, in your kennel, when we walk out there and we go to those dogs, we hear them barking, and we can smell them. We can hear that vibration coming through your body, coming over your body like a heat wave that you never experienced, sending goosebumps up your arms and stuff. Maybe you all don't feel that, but I do every time I hear those dogs bark. Every time I hear them holler out, I feel it. Sends me back to the days of a child. And I think I don't want to leave this woodpile lower than when I found it. I don't even want to leave it as the same as when I found it. I want to leave it higher. And I want to show my children, my children's children, and my grandchildren, and my nieces and my nephews, and whoever else would give an ear. I want to show them how to do the same thing. I'm not saying I'm a master breeder, but what I am saying is we've been pretty consistent with what we have. And I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else. We figured this thing out, but I'm enjoying what we have right now. We've got some good line of dogs that's coming along very good. We've been able to maintain the hunt. We've been able to maintain the appearance, which, I won't even go into genotype and phenotype, but we've been able to maintain all of that. And we've been able to actually continue to progress in each breeding that's been made. If I was to tell you about a champion, or I was to tell you about a world winner, that doesn't mean go out and breed to him. That means go and do your research. That's all it means. If I breed all my females to him, that doesn't mean he's going to work for you. Doesn't mean that puppies off of that female is going to work for you. It means it works for me. We may be two different people because we are two different people. It's time that we embrace individuality. And the more we begin to embrace individuality, the more we begin to embrace our own heartbeat, our own thumbprint, our own blueprint, and our own goals. Hey, I'm not trying to change the world. I just want to bid information. And if I can provide the information, or the people that we interject with or bring on can help provide the kind of information that could possibly have an impact on the world, I think we'll change this thing. And just like a Carnival cruise ship, you may not sense that it's turning, but it's turning. Guys, I hope you've heard my heart tonight. I pray that you will continue to dig deep as you can inside yourself. Don't ever give up. No matter how far this blood is, no matter how secretive these people are with these certain lines of dogs, you can't get a male, I can't get a puppy. You have no idea. It's like the Secret Service. It's like breaking the code to the mob. Hey, do it. Do what you got to do. Because if passion is strong enough and it's there, hey, guess what? You will be great and you will accomplish it. I promise you, you will. I promise you, you will. But you got to find out what you want. And you got to find out how you're going to get it. And you got to find out what your goal is so that you can set your course and prayerfully obtain the objective that you have in mind. Until then, if you're passionate, you're wasting your time. Wasting time. That's what you're doing. If you don't have a goal, you're just spinning tires. Don't let anybody else bully you around the field and tell you what you need to be running and tell you what you need to bring into your kennel. Make up your own mind. I'm going to run what I want to run, and nobody's going to have influence on me unless they're a mentor and they're of sound teaching. A lot of these guys, and you guys follow people that don't even have sound teaching. They don't even know what they want, and they haven't even been consistent. Well, I follow somebody that's had 20 different bloodlines in the last 10 years and is looking to have 20 more. They're not going to be consistent. In the next 10 years, they'll be lucky if they turn a dog loose, it'll go to the woods and actually hunt and jump a rabbit. Anybody can breed me tours. Anybody can breed a dog that'll run the paths. Anybody can breed a dog that'll run in a pen. Who is continuously, progressively enhancing the Beagle breed? You may tell you what my definition of enhancing or bettering the breed is. Consistently producing what everybody wants. Accountable dogs that account for their game. That's it. You better the breed when you don't leave the standard lower than when you found it. That's betterment. Even it may not be advancement. We all want that. But it's at least you're not weakening the standard. And right now, all of the dogs that are out there, there's a lot of dogs, there's a lot of breeders that are out there to choose from. And a lot of them have no influence today. Pull a COI up on these dogs, coefficient of inbreeding. Check it out. If those dogs are less than 10, 12% of a family of dogs that you're trying to breed, guess what? You don't have what you say you're breeding. If I say I have a Satsuma dog and my dogs are 9% Satsuma Mac, 9% Satsuma Sadie, 5% Satsuma Jody, guess what? I don't have Satsuma dogs. You need to go up to the higher numbers that are 20, 30, 25. I'm not talking about the basic 250s of the mom and dad, the 425s of the grandparents being the parents of both of him, both sides of the mom and dad, or the 12 and a halves, which is going to be the great grandparents, and then so forth and so forth, the 6.75s. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the dogs that you end up having 5 or 6 25s. 2 of those 25s, if you have 6, 2 of those 25s shouldn't be there. You identify those 2 25s, and if you see, hey, wow, man, the 2 25s that are there have been dead for 30 years. Now you're working on something, but you're still being regressive and you're still going backwards if the 2 25s that you have in there are not what you had in mind. If they're not the goal, if they're not the targeted factor in the gene pool, then you're still going backwards. If they are the ones you're looking for, guess what? Then you're going forward. Now you've accomplished, and you have dogs in here, at least in this cross, there are 25% of a dog that's been dead for 20 or 30 years. You're at least a decade ahead of the game. Why? Because you've been able to assess your breeding. You've been able to execute what you assessed. And now conclusively, you have what it is you set out to have. Kudos to you. Now, give yourself a hand. But what's next? How do you keep it going? And going. And going. And going. Think about that. Until next time, Anderson's Beagles, Mr. Hammer Down, I'll see you when I see you.
Ain't no fun when the rabbits got the cotton.
I live back in the woods, you see. My woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive.